Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing at the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hi y'all, I am so excited for today's episode. We're finally doing, I don't know why I haven't done this, an entire solo episode on making your house a home, if you will. We're not only, designing, we're curating a vibe, and the vibe, in my opinion, is honestly even more important than what it looks like. There's nothing worse than when you walk into a house and it just feels horrible. Like it just feels dead. Like no one wants to be there. It's dark. It's depressing. It's just simply not the vibe. So we're going to be talking about everything from design, from curating the vibe, from where to shop, high and low, save and splurge, how to even decide like what you want your space to like look and feel like. But this is really just for anyone. This is not, you don't have to like spend a ton of money basically to make your house feel a certain way. Like if you want to invest and you want to spend more money, great, whatever. But we're also talking about like more inexpensive ways to do it. And it's not all about spending money, okay? A lot of it is like the right playlist to play, okay? Like the way to like let your natural light in. Like basically we're just gonna make your home the best possible version of your home so you can live in this space that feels good because that is what you deserve, okay? This is an episode you are definitely going to want to watch on YouTube because we're adding in a lot of photos and I'm also showing you guys some photos. So if you guys have never watched the episodes on YouTube, I would highly recommend that this is probably the time to start. Little background on me, I am a home lover. I grew up the daughter and niece of an interior designer and the granddaughter of a seamstress. My mom and my grandma owned a bedding and a drapery company together. My mom has been an interior designer for years and years. Personally, I'm a homebody, so I would much prefer to spend money on my home even over traveling. Like, I don't want to go to Europe. I want to go to my living room. You know what I mean? Like, I need to be there. I need to be at home. That's where I want to be. With that being said, I still love travel and I still love going places and making memories and stuff, but I also make a lot of memories in my home. Basically, what I'm saying is my home is a very high priority for me. I'm just a home girl. I work from home. I do everything from home. I own a literal home brand. So for me, it is worth it for me to invest more in my home. With that being said, it's not going to be all about spending money, okay? But in order to really start from the beginning, I actually did a lot of homework. We are answering a ton of questions and we're getting into stuff, everything for y'all, but I want to just kind of give you my home vibe. And we're starting off with my childhood photos, okay? I am a very nostalgic person. I'm constantly pulling from my childhood. And by the way, my childhood was not even the best, okay? It wasn't the worst. Childhood trauma is like a story for another day. It is interesting, though, that I'm like still pulling from that. But even something as small as like roosters, which has been a huge thing. If you guys don't know, by the way, I have a home brand friend of mine and our like brand mark is a rooster. I have roosters all over my home. I love them. That is playing off of the nostalgia of my childhood growing up in the early 2000s when everyone had rooster wallpaper. We had roosters everywhere, okay? A rooster probably up someone's, everywhere. It was literally everywhere in our homes. And I love playing off of very nostalgic vibes. I personally love a Nancy Meyers vibe. I want a little bit more color than that. I like an eclectic, antique, mixed Nancy Meyers toile wallpaper vibe while also playing off of a lot of things from my childhood. So in the house that I'm in now, I really wanted it to be like a reflection of me. I have been now living out on my own for the past 10 years now, which is crazy. It'll be 10 years this summer. And this is the place I moved into, 9 years into living on my own. So it's by no means like my first place or first house or whatever. And I am like a freak about home. So I will say, compared to the next 26-year-old, this is not a normal setup. Fully well aware of that. But I have been on my own for the past 10 years, and I definitely have some good tips. I wanted this house to feel like me. Hopefully, I mean, my God, I will find someone when I live in this house. You know what? I don't even know if this photo is me. It doesn't even look like me, but I'm wearing overalls. I'm sending this to my mom. Is this me? So my point being, I wanted this home to really feel like me, and I wanted to do things that I maybe wouldn't have done in the past out of fear that I would get bored of them. I really wanted to lean into it because hopefully this is the last place that I live at alone before I find someone, get married, have kids, whatever. I plan on being here for a long time. So I really wanted to make this place something that felt very representative of me, a place that I felt very at home in, somewhere that I had a lot of fun in, that made me feel good. I am someone who's extremely affected by my environment. If my home is depressing and a mess and just doesn't feel good to me, that is how I will be in life. I just need this space. I need time to just be on my own. I needed a place that makes me feel good, makes me feel creative. And I was definitely I've been able to do that in every space that I've been in, but definitely more so this house because this is kind of my dream home. Okay, so I just need to give you guys a little picture of myself as a child, and this will all come together. But I think a lot of life is really going back to your childhood self, okay? Thinking about what you liked as a kid. For example, me in a garden. I didn't even know that was a thing. All of these photos, me in overalls. I know, it's shocking. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see we're also going to put this on Instagram. Me and my cute little sweaters. These are so classic. I moved to Texas in this outfit when I was 2. I'm looking right now at a photo of me wearing a denim skirt with some red toile, some frills, a red cowboy hat, some cowboy boots. I'm literally always in a hat and a dress. That's all I wore as a kid. Here's me again in another Western outfit. More of me in another dress that's floral, another cowboy hat and cowboy boots. I mean, it's literally all over the place. Me in a garden with a spring floral dress. I mean, oh, this is important. This right here, this was my bedroom as a kid. And it's basically what I'm doing now for those who are listening. On the wall, I have vintage looking floral prints. Then my bed is all eclectic. It's very grandma looking. It's all florals with a lot of patterns, some plaid, some toiles, some stripe. There's quilts. These are the beds that my grandma has in storage for me that she wants me to use for my kids now that I'm realizing it. But it looks just like the bed I have in my guest bedroom. And it's very more so my style now. And I feel as I've gotten older and home design is something that's very creative and fulfilling for me, I've really just gone back to a lot of what I liked as a kid. Again, me in more overalls. And to me, home isn't just what your house looks like. It's more of the life that you create in this house. I love living alone. Another cowboy outfit of me. Guys, again, you need to be on YouTube to see these. More of me in my florals, me and my grandpa in a denim vest that literally looks like what I wore to Stagecoach last year. Okay? It's all about going back to yourself as a child. There's a lot of photos that just make sense. This is literally what I'm wearing right now, minus the hat. And I have that hat still. It's my dad's old hat. It's actually me. Right now, in current day, I'm wearing overalls and a white long sleeve shirt. This photo of me, this is baby Kenzie, overalls and a long white long sleeve shirt. Me on a horse again. And then there's more of me gardening. I really thought I was doing something there. But again, a lot of my home, the life that I've created, I feel a lot of it is really just going back to what you liked as a kid. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, but even when I'm in a creative rut, I just think about the things that I naturally liked. Because I feel as you get older, you obviously develop better taste and discover things that you didn't know for sure. But for me, I feel my taste in things started to get not twisted, but maybe more affected by other people, whether it's culture, society, what's trending, what other people like, what people that I like, what they like. But as a kid, you just kind of like what you like, I mean, sure, a lot of it is from your parents. I do just happen to have very similar tastes as my family, but I like to bring in a lot of that nostalgic feeling. Even this photo, it's me, my grandma, my mom, and my aunts, and me in the kitchen. We're baking, everyone's wearing overalls. It's very the life that I've created for myself as I'm older. Obviously, I've made some changes and some upgrades and some critiques. Some things have changed in my childhood. I'm not saying like I'm trying to necessarily recreate my childhood, but again, as someone who likes like a nostalgic feel, as I've gotten older, I've realized that the things that I liked as a kid are the things that I actually like long term. Like a lot of my style is a lot more traditional and a lot cozier. Even the Nancy Meyers of it all, I grew up on Nancy Meyers movies. So it makes sense that I love Nancy Meyers style. Like I love The Holiday and like Cameron Diaz. That very much so reminds me of my aunt. Like everything that I like is really playing off nostalgia. I also have these that are just examples of like a little bit of my home growing up. So those are like floral bedding. You can even see in this photo, the couch, like all of the plaid, which I don't even really play into plaid right now, but a lot of it is like floral stuff. I mean, this photo of my dad, guys, we had yellow wallpaper, really ugly clock, some plates on the wall. I am doing a plate wall, some frills, some toile, some fabrics. You can see it here. Here's actually me and my little brother. Oh, wait, is that Maddie actually? That would have been Maddie. These are just photos that you can see. Even this is me and Cody actually. Matching pajamas, more patchwork. Again, lots of patterns, florals, things of that nature. Very cozy. And that is how I have really gone back and found what I like in my own personal style. Obviously, I've made changes, additions. My house doesn't really, to the naked eye, as we would say on this podcast, it doesn't look like a replica of my childhood home, but I've pulled a lot of things from that, okay? So for me personally, I'm a nostalgic person, and that's how I figured out what I like, which is like the number one question I get when it comes to home decor. Oh my God. In real time, I'm recording this on May 9th. Taylor Swift just performed Who's Afraid of Little Old Me in Paris. I need to go. Okay. Anyways, sorry for that. So I feel like a lot of my home design, homemaking, creating the life that I want in my house, which is like a whole life in itself, has come a lot from my childhood, things that I liked then. And that to me is how I found things that I like that are timeless. As I was younger, I moved out when I was 17. So I would say like 17 to, I bought this house when I was 25. 17 to 25, I was focusing more on trends that were trendy at the time. And they weren't really things that at the time I thought I would like it forever, but there weren't things that I loved. Granted, yes, like girly, toile, wallpaper stuff that is definitely trendy now, or at least it is on my TikTok For You page because that's like what I see. But it's timeless in the sense that I've liked it for a long time. And I feel like it's just classic, and that's what I've liked. I've been able in the 8 years before living in this house to test out different things. Like I used to have more of like a masculine, I loved modern, I loved like an all white kitchen, which I do like an all white kitchen in a specific way. My college houses, I don't even want to talk about them. Like literally so ugly. A lot of it was because, well, one, I couldn't afford things, but also you can always like make do. I just think that like my taste was weird. Like you can always Facebook Marketplace. Like to this day, that's my favorite place to like shop for furniture. And also I just like didn't have the time or the resources, and I didn't care. And also a weird time of my life. But guys, like ugly. I just look back and I'm like, that is just so not the vibe. I'm not into that. And I feel that way even like 2 years ago. And I'm sure eventually I'll feel that way about this. We naturally change our taste. But this is just kind of how I've curated my house, just talking out loud of things that I've liked and building the home that I've liked. I think you should start by filling your home with things that you love. For so long, I was too afraid to add things that I really liked into my house. If they had patterns, if they had color, if they were maybe a little bit busier, because I thought that, oh, I'm just going to get tired of it, and ended up hating it. And like, look, I'm literally in a room with pink toile wallpaper that I've had for the past year now. I've never been tired of it. I love it. I look at it. It makes me happy. I think you need to look at things, and if it brings you joy, like we're Marie Kondoing it, you bring it into your home. We're doing the opposite. Well, that's kind of what she says. For example, I'm looking at pink toile dining room chairs. And like, I wouldn't have done that before because I was trying to be more simple. But what would happen is that I would be too simple and too neutral, that it was boring, and I never really loved it, and I never felt attached to it, and I didn't like it. So fill your home with things that you love, and don't fear getting tired of it, because I personally like haven't gotten tired of anything, and I don't see that happening anytime soon because I just love it so much. But it doesn't need to be like expensive things. For me, like filling it with things I love, a lot of it's toile. I love wallpaper, blankets, books, cookbooks. A lot of this stuff is like antiquing and thrifting, so it's actually really inexpensive. Wallpaper obviously adds up. Like that is not like the cheapest thing in the entire world at all. But a lot of this you can like thrift and antique. A lot of my home is thrifted or I got it at an inexpensive antique store. And I just love the stuff. So anyways, I asked you all for a lot of questions so we can have a little bit more intention to the podcast. So I kind of already went into this one, but how to find your own style with home decor. Again, it's going to evolve always. I'm a very nostalgic person. You have to know yourself almost. I feel like you have to just lean into the things that you like. I want my house to feel warm and cozy and lived in. And easy ways to do that would be adding lamps, adding flowers. I have a ton of dried hydrangeas. We'll get into all of that. I think the easiest way to find your personal home style would be to pay attention to what you like online. Create Pinterest boards, and the more you pin, the more it's going to show you similar looks. Create a board on TikTok. I have an entire home board on TikTok. I'll save things and I'll save it to my home. Then it is also, the algorithm knows to like feed you things that are similar, so you're able to kind of like dive more into that. Over time, you're going to notice what you're liking more, and you're going to see what taste you're naturally drawn to and what you like. So I would also say you don't need to know right up front, and don't commit fully to something if you are not like, oh my God, I know I need this. You don't need to buy every single thing up front. I think a house needs to be lived in for a while, and you need to collect things over time. 1, because it's cheaper. 2, because it's going to end up looking better. You're going to realize what you actually want in that space. And 3, because a home should really tell a story, and it should feel very comfortable, and it really should be a reflection of you. So building your home over time is the better way to do it, in my opinion, versus buying everything up front. Like I've been in this house for a year and I'm like still adding things to it. I also would recommend don't play it too safe. Like if you are looking for your own personal home style, don't do what I did and try to be like so neutral to where you're not gonna get bored of it, because then you're gonna get even more bored of that stuff quicker, you know? So make a board. If you have a little bit extra income, I would recommend hiring a virtual interior designer. Again, like you do not need to do this. Sierra Belonga is amazing. I've used her on this room and my living room, but I've redone my living room since. She did my guest room as well. She's amazing, and I would recommend her. There's a ton of virtual interior designers. But again, it's not a must, and that's only if that's like something that you care about. Inexpensive ways to decorate your home and make it feel like you. You do not need all new furniture and all this massive stuff. No. I think to make something feel like you, I can just speak, for example, with myself. I wanted my home to feel a little bit more personal, a little bit cozier. So I added a ton of dried hydrangeas. I love Nantucket. That's my favorite place in the entire world. I love the East Coast, but I love Nantucket. Nantucket is known for its hydrangeas. So having hydrangeas everywhere over the house, it also feels like very Nancy Meyers. I love it, and I love a good dried hydrangea. I've gotten massive like vases and stuff from At Home. At Home is it's actually my go-to place if I'm going to like an actual store. Like what I'm looking at right next to y'all as I'm recording this, there's a massive vase that I got from At Home this week. And I just fill it with the dried hydrangeas. Everything's on my Amazon storefront and my LTK if you guys want like the specifics, because I definitely have gotten ugly ones in the past. I know exactly which ones you should order. I love that. It's just a little added touch for me because it's a little sentimental. It's something that I like. It makes me feel good. And it just brings like good energy into my house, like having little pops of color. Pillows are a really easy way to decorate your home, make it feel cozier, make it feel more like you. You can do that to your style. I just added a ton of new pillows to my couch. My living room is the place in my house that I have the hardest issues with, but my living room specifically, I don't like my couch now for like the vibe that I have, and I don't want to spend another couches are expensive. I've already had a whole couch stock. Don't even get me started. I had 4 couches in that townhouse because I just couldn't get it right. And then I did like it. I've outgrown the couch. But right now, I'm not going to just go out and buy a new couch because it's so expensive. I want the 6-penny couch so bad. Like I'm obsessed with them. Couches are expensive. So instead of doing that, I'm just kind of like livening it up with new pillows. I got all mine on Amazon. Like you can do that very inexpensively. I think one of the best, most unique ways that I love to see someone personalize their house is just framing random things. I have seen someone on TikTok frame a Hannah Montana concert ticket, okay? Get your frames, all of them at thrift stores. I would say 95% of my frames at thrift stores. Framing meaningful things is such an inexpensive way to do it. Let's say someone wrote you a note. Frame it, cute. You went to a concert that was fun. Frame it, cute. anything random, even like napkins, like saving things from like a first date with your spouse and framing that. I think it's so cute. It's so inexpensive and it's very personal. And I love seeing things like that in a home. Someone asked favorite cookbooks. So if y'all haven't seen my hosting closet, it's excessive. I'll be the first to admit it. I love my hosting closet. This is something that I've dreamed of. This is another thing with home decor. I have dreamed of having a hosting closet since the day that I saw Kris Jenner's like China closet on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I've had it on a vision board for the longest time. So when I found this house, I had already had a vision board of the dream home that I wanted. I wanted a place where I could entertain. I wanted a place that was more private. I wanted an outdoor space for dinner parties. I wanted a backyard. I wanted a big kitchen, a place to record my podcast, and I really wanted a hosting closet. Like those are just like main things that lots of lighting. Like I had a vision board of what I wanted in this space and I kept it. Now, maybe you're not moving and that's not something, whatever, but I would always recommend keeping one. I even have vision boards and things saved already for like my next house. I have no intentions of moving anytime soon, but one, it's fun. And two, I feel like it just keeps me working for something, you know? So anyways, I love that hosting closet. And in the hosting closet, I have an entire wall of cookbooks. This is a great thing to do for decor and then also functionality. I actually use my cookbooks. I love cookbooks. I hate being on technology more than I need to be, especially when I'm in the kitchen. So I love a good cookbook and then I write down my favorite ones in my recipe journal, friend of mine, duh. And I absolutely love that stuff. I think it's just the best. So I have a whole wall of cookbooks. My favorite cookbooks, I can never say his name, Max Lavarga. It's a healthy cookbook. Love that one. These are all on my storefront. Anything Ina Garden, love. The Dinner Party Project is the best cookbook for a dinner party. It has a whole map that helps you like plan out like all of your courses, and then every single recipe is in the book. It's really helpful, and I actually use stuff from their cookbooks all the time. Like my favorite salad that I make when I'm hosting that everyone asks for the recipe. It's also on my Instagram and TikTok now. It's from that. It's an amazing cookbook. Love that. But I think that's a really easy way to decorate. And I love like a vintage cookbook. I've gotten really into those in the past year. So I think that's a really great way to decorate as well. You want books laying out everywhere. I mean, I do. I like the vibe of that. I grew up being forced to go furniture shopping with my mom like all the time. I mean, it was her job, right, to go shopping, and we would go antique shopping a ton, and I was bored out of my mind. But my parents would bribe me, or my grandma and my mom would bribe me with Nancy Drew books, and they would always have Nancy Drew books at the antique stores because they were antiques, right? And that would be my like prize for going with them for the day. Clearly, really fun, chill, laid back kid, right? So I read every single Nancy Drew book, and that's how I got into my love of reading. I just loved it. I was obsessed, right? So as I've gotten older, I will pick up like Nancy Drew antique books, and I have them in my living room, and I think that's really cute, but it's an easy way to decorate, right? So again, you can get really cheap books, cookbooks, Nancy Drew books, coffee table books, all of that stuff while you're thrifting. You don't need to spend all of that money on more expensive coffee table books. Okay, number one favorite hosting tool. Obviously, my dinner cards. That's literally why I created them. They're so fun to just have out, especially when you have friends in different groups who don't really know each other well, and like maybe conversation gets stale or boring, or you're inviting your friends that you've known your whole life, and then you end up talking about the same gossip from like 7 years ago, and it's like, how many times can we talk about this? It's really nice because it breaks up just like normal conversation. They're conversation cards. We have a code actually for the podcast listeners. You can use HouseGuest for 10% off. It's shopfriendofmine.com. But that is my favorite hosting item because it's so fun to have out. One, they look good on your counter. Two, they're a fun game to play, and they create really good memories, and they open people up. And I just find that we have a lot better of a night when we play games like that. We also have the nightcap cards. Those are actually my favorite conversation cards. Like I like those a little bit more. Dinner cards are friendlier for every crowd. Nightcap is like more of like an intimate moment. And I just love them. So those are my favorite for a hosting tool. I think conversation cards of any sort are the best. Obviously, I'm biased and I like Friend of Mine better. I created them myself. But I would highly recommend having conversation cards. I also think they're a really good hostess gift, which is something like that has been lost in our generation. We need to bring back hostess gifts. I know how much time people spend and how much goes into that, how much money goes into that. So like I will always show up with hosting gifts, and I think that those are like perfect. Favorite kitchen items. Also my recipe journal. This sounds like an infomercial, but honestly, by far, my number one favorite and most used item, genuinely, hand to God, on a Bible, whatever, would be my recipe journal. I use that every single day. Like I'm constantly either writing in a new journal recipe, I'm sending a recipe to someone, or I'm cooking and using the recipe journal. I can like literally never remember a recipe to save my life. I use that thing every day, and it's gonna be so cool to be able to pass that down one day. It's also a good gift for like grandmas, grandpas, dads, grandparents, whoever, to like get their recipes so you can have them later to then pass down. I just love my recipe journal. The other thing I will say, as far as like design and functionality goes, I like things that are both. I have all our place stuff besides an air fryer, and I need to get their air fryer oven, like toaster oven. Everything that I have is our place because I love the look of it and it makes my kitchen look very cohesive, but I also love them as pants. They're my favorite kitchenware. Mackenzie Childs, I liked Mackenzie Childs. I was not like diehard until I saw their pink, like the rose color one. This has added so much personality to my kitchen and it's so cute. I have a utensil holder, I have a spoon holder, and then I have the kettle. So it's like pink and white checkered. It's very me and it's in my kitchen and it's things that I use all the time. So like, I think just a really easy example of like leaning more into your personality and your style. Instead of getting like a basic, boring kettle, like a black one from Amazon, like get one that feels more like you. It's like slowly but surely as you're collecting things like that, your house becomes more of a home because it feels like you. Save versus splurge items on a home. Let me know what y'all think. Save on frames. I thrift every single frame that I have. Frames get so expensive, okay? Save on frames or use FrameBridge. This is not an ad. I've never been paid by them in my life, but it's like a dream deal right now. I love FrameBridge. I actually use them for gifts a lot. I love FrameBridge. So that's actually a good example, but FrameBridge has great pricing on frames. It's like what I'm getting at. But I think you can save. You don't need to go out and get things framed and spend like $1 billion on frames. Save on them. Thrift them, go to Michael's, use FrameBridge. That's it. Also, coffee table books. You can thrift those. Cookbooks, you can thrift those. Get dried flowers. I love hydrangeas. Like dried hydrangeas, I actually think they're cute. I don't know how I feel about other dried flowers, but I love dried hydrangeas and you save money on those in the long run. They're also really cheap anyways. Facebook Marketplace is your best friend. I think you can save on pretty much anything with Facebook Marketplace. And here's the thing about Facebook Marketplace. It gets you. It knows you. Once you spend like an hour on there, my algorithm is so good. Like it has me wanting to drive an hour away every single day just to pick up like some random cross-stitched frame. Like I love Facebook Marketplace. And if you're looking even for, let's say, like I love CB2, okay? My dining table is from CB2. Let's say I'm looking for a CB2 specific dining table. You can actually set alerts in Facebook Marketplace for if someone were to list that item, or you can like set up alerts for certain keywords. So I think that's really good. Okay, the things that I would splurge on would be a bed, but not in the way that you think. I think your sheets, like you're spending so much of your life in, like in your actual bed, I would splurge on. I have a mattress topper, okay, that is like $150 from Amazon. So it's not a splurge. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not a splurge by any means. And this mattress topper is so amazing. Highly recommend. I put it on my storefront. I sleep like a baby. I have it on my guest bed as well. There has never been a time that someone has slept at my house and not asked how that was so comfortable after. And it is this one specific Amazon mattress topper that's on my storefront. Cannot recommend enough. I would get good soft sheets. I love Cozy Earth. I love Brooklinen. I love Boll & Branch. Boll & Branch is probably like my number one. Yeah, I would splurge more on your bed just because it's a big piece and you spend so much time on it, and your couch. Now listen, I already said I don't love my couch right now. But that's because I've just decided, I bought it years ago and I'm just over it, and I could never really quite figure out what I wanted. And I bought that one specifically because it fit a space in my townhome. It's not what I would have bought for this house, okay? But you spend most of your time in your bed and on your couch. So I feel like those two things need to be the priority. Another thing that you can save on, I have cheap vases everywhere that are either thrifted or from at home. My lamps are all at home. Lamps can get pricey. Oh, all of my pots in my house, every single pot that I have on this property for outdoor plants, all of them are from at home. You will not find better prices. They have the best prices. I love their stuff, and they have the cutest pots in my opinion. Like I love them. They have a great selection. They have the best prices. If you need a massive pot, sometimes those can be like $700 and you can get them for like $80 at home, like for a massive size. They're the best. What is your strategy when finding antiques for your home? I get so overwhelmed. I don't have much of a strategy when it comes to finding antiques in my home. Other than I have started to keep a list of things that I would like from an antique store. So I'm trying to think. For example, my hosting closet, I know that I really want like a bulletin board where I can put all of my cute like invites and name tags and stuff from different things that I've hosted, whether it be for a friend of mine, my brand, or for like dinner parties at home, whatever it is. I've known that for a while and I haven't found the right one, but I have it on a list. So when I'm out antiquing, I can look at it just to be like, okay, well, I'm kind of looking for these things. But really, you just have to let things speak to you. And you can't expect to go antiquing for one day and find everything that you need. Antiquing is more of like a collector's thing. You go and you find pieces that you like as you go, and that's kind of it. You don't find everything in one day. It's not like when you're going to IKEA and you're trying to redo a room. It's more of like an experience and you're doing it for like the love of the journey. Over time, I've found like really cool quilts. I found amazing cross-stitch pieces that I love, really great plates. Most of my hosting closet I have thrifted. I think that you have to just go with an open mind and see what you like and what speaks to you. Downtown McKinney, I grew up in McKinney, but downtown McKinney, antiquing, there's nothing like it. Like that antique mall, downtown McKinney, is the best antique mall with the best prices. I will get so much stuff there because it also has a bit more of like a couple Western pieces, a couple just things that are more personal to me that I like. But yeah, you have to go with an open mind and just see what you like, pick things up here and there, but you just won't go and find everything that you're looking for basically in one trip. Random home must-haves you can't live without. My number one in my home that I cannot live without is my weighted blanket. I have this weighted cooling blanket from Luna. They sent it to me like years ago and I bought so many. I actually just bought my mom one for Mother's Day because she loves it so much. It's cooling, it's weighted, you'll never sleep better, and it puts you in a happy mood. First time I used it, I was like, wait, why do I feel like happier? And I looked on the website and it says it can boost your mood, and like it really does. It helps like something with like releasing serotonin. I don't know, I'm no scientist, okay? I have no idea. It actually works, which I know sounds literally crazy. So I love that. My mattress topper that I already mentioned from Amazon, it's a very inexpensive mattress topper, but it's absolutely amazing. And then I love having, this is just like personal preference, I love having like cute little mugs because it's something that I use every day and it's just something that I love and like feels cozy. Like I just got a cute little Luke's Diner Gilmore Girls mug and I loved that. But those are like my home must-haves. Like at the end of the day, the things that I like absolutely need would be those things. Now, my favorite thing about my home right now, I would say I love my wallpaper. Like I am a wallpaper girl. That is by no means a must-have, but it's just a, like, you know, I like to have it. Okay, how do you think your style will evolve when you get married and have kids? So I've actually thought about this because, like, what if I fall in love and I'm not moving out of this house? Like, they're moving into this house, you know? So, yeah, what if I fall in love and there's pink toile all over the house and stuff? Yeah, I get that. So they're gonna have to be supportive of me, but I do think that over time, as I have a family and I evolve and I move into the house where I'm like raising a family, I will just go full Nancy Meyers. It will be more gender neutral. It will be more blues. It will just be full on Nancy Meyers. But also I love like a Ralph Lauren vibe. So I like darker wallpapers and more like of a masculine, cozy, warm vibe. So I feel like I'm gonna go full Nancy Meyers, full Ralph Lauren, so it's more gender neutral. And I'll probably always keep wallpapers and stuff. Like I don't see a time when like I'm not loving that. Like I love wallpaper. Again, I mean, we hate everything we do 10 years later, so like we'll see. But I feel like it's just gonna be like full Nancy and full Ralph. Okay, how did you get started gardening? So I also have an entire garden. Oh, that was another thing on this house that I wanted was space for a garden. I have an entire YouTube video on how I started gardening, so I'm not gonna bore you with that if you guys have already seen that. I would recommend going back and watching that video, but I will say as far as like aesthetics and looks of my garden, all of my garden beds are pretty much all cohesive. They're all from Vega Garden, which I love. And then I used Pinterest inspiration to redo my side yard. We have a bunch of rock for the floors, and then we have like rock stepping stones. And those are all from Home Depot. My brother-in-law did it for me. He's a contractor, thank God. Literally the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I used Pinterest inspo. As far as like learning how to garden, I follow people like the Dallas Garden School and just a lot of other like gardening accounts. And I've taken like online courses. I learn a lot. I ask a lot when I go to farmers markets. and there's people there that are selling plants, I'm always asking them like random tips, and I get the best tips from them because they're obviously doing that like full-time for a living, and they just love talking about it. Like, I think they're also like, who is this like young girl who's like gardening? Like, because it's just like not typically what you're doing in Dallas when you're like 26. So they think it's funny and they like just want to talk more. But I ask a lot of questions. I follow a lot of the right accounts. I read a lot about it. But yeah, I have a whole YouTube video. If you guys are interested in getting into gardening, I have a whole like start to finish, like the entire thing. Because I'm starting from like seed. Like I'm like serious. I have like a potting station in my garage. How did you even decide on what style you wanted to go with this home? Everything is such a big decision. I think go slow and you make a home as you go. For me, because I always have vision boards of what I want future homes to be, I knew the general idea. I'm also pulling from timeless things in my life that I've always really loved. But for example, I have other boards that I'm saving constantly online of like future homes that I want. So I will want to go more Ralph with the house. I'll want to go more Nancy, gender neutral. Like there's certain things that I want to do. Also, I like to play into like the space around it. So like eventually if I have a lake house, I have like a very like lake house vibe that I want to do. If I lived in a different city, I would probably lean more into that vibe. Because Texas is obviously just my home base, I just did everything that I like here. But also I love Western stuff. So I have like Cowboys books and Texas books and things like that that I find that are really personal. Oh, another good tip. I follow like resale accounts on Instagram. So there are a lot of resale, antique, and vintage stores on Instagram that I'll just see on my explore page and follow. And then like I follow one from Fort Worth. I think it's like Friday's Vintage or something like that. And they're constantly doing like nods to Texas. It got a cute like Texas plate. I'm doing a whole plate wall in my dining room. So I'm doing like that whole thing. And I liked that made it a little bit more personalized, things like that. So I think go slow, make a home as you go, keep a vision board of things that you like so you can see like what your taste really is, and then also like lean into the area that you're in. I think that's fun. This is a good question. What search terms do you use on Pinterest? For me, I do Nancy Meyers, I do traditional home aesthetic, I like cozy, like grandma vibes. And I feel like I'm not searching things as much. Oh, Ralph Lauren. I'm not searching things as much because my algorithm is like so perfectly curated for me, but I love those things. What room should I start with when redecorating? I would say the room you're in the most, which ironically for me are the two rooms that I did last. My living room, my bedroom. I always do my bedroom last. I think it's because like no one really sees it besides me. My living room was like the one room in this entire house I'm not like obsessed with, but it's getting there. I would start with the room that you are in the most. But again, I didn't do that. Like I focused on this because of the podcast. Like I went all over the place. It's just like whatever you're feeling. Okay, tips for incorporating classic with modern without overdoing it. So my house, the finish on my house is actually very modern. I don't love a modern look, so I added a lot of antique accessories. This couch is pretty modern, but my chairs next to it are cute and like vintage antique looking. I add a lot of it in with accessories. I don't have too modern of furniture. Actually, yes, I do. I do have modern furniture. But I add a lot of like the antique stuff in with accessories. Personally, it's never bothered me that there's a cross between the two. I think it would bother like more of like my mom, but it doesn't bother me. Okay, favorite places to buy furniture. To be honest, I love Facebook Marketplace, especially with like where I'm in now. Like I want like a pinstripe old vintage looking couch. So like I'm going to find that on Marketplace, right? But I love CB2. I love the inside. That's where my chairs are, my pink pinstripe chairs. I would actually love a couch from them. That's where I should be getting my couch from. Sixpenny, I haven't bought anything from them, but I love their couches. I've gotten some things from Ballard Designs that I really like. West Elm occasionally. I'm more of like a CB2 girl. Wayfair, I got I've gotten like my bed frame that I love. I didn't spend much money on it at all, but it looks really nice. It's from Wayfair or Overstock. I can't really remember, but Pottery Barn I love. Yeah. Urban Outfitters had some really great furniture recently. They have really cute 12 chairs that I would actually love for my living room. They've got great stuff, like really, really cute. Okay, I want to give you guys a couple recent additions that I've added to my house. I'm filming a very exciting home tour soon, so I wanted to just kind of finish out my house a little bit more. Obviously, so much wallpaper. I added wallpaper everywhere, as you guys know. Even in closets and bathrooms, like my guest bath has wallpaper in it, and it's so cute, and it's a fun way to add a lot of personality. So I added wallpaper literally to anywhere in this house that can be wallpapered. Basically, there's wallpaper. My dried hydrangeas, I mentioned them like 15 times on the podcast in the past 2 weeks, but I've added them everywhere and it adds a lot of warmth to it. Also, if you guys are wanting to make your house feel cozy and more like a home, you need lamps. I added lamps to my entry table and it completely changed the room. It feels cozy, it feels right, like love. I've framed a lot of prints and art, so I thrifted all of these. I've had them ready to go and waiting to go. And I recently went through a bunch of them with my mom and we framed them, hung them up in the house, and that just makes it feel a lot cozier. We're in the process of finalizing a plate wall in my dining room, which is really fun because it's a really cool way to add a lot of different style and personality. Like I have vintage Ralph Lauren plates, I have vintage ones that I just thrifted, I have Texas ones. Like I just have a bunch of stuff that I feel like is like a lot of my personality in one, but it's all on one wall. And I think it's just like a really fun way to like add something to a room. I've never had a plate wall before in like one of my places, so I love it. I added Amazon pillows to like add a little something. My couch was a little too modern. I wanted it to feel a little bit more grandma. I'm always going like, I want this to feel like your grandma, like your really stylish grandma's home that you never want to leave. And like when you're 18, you're having a bad day and you just want to go out to your grandma's house. Like that is what I wanted this house to feel like. But like your stylish grandma, you know, like the grandma that's so cool. Oh, and then I've added a little bit to my garden, actually. I did a video, a brand deal with At Home, which is like literally a dream because I just love At Home and I share their stuff all the time. And I added a little like bistro nook there and it's really cute. I can sit out there and have my tea, read a book, relax. Like, or when I'm gardening and I have friends over, they have a place to sit as I'm like watering the plants and I have someone to like keep me company. So I really love that. We're going to do a quick breakdown of all of the different rooms in my home just so we can talk about this stuff. If you guys watch my YouTube channel or follow me on Instagram, you guys have seen all of this and you know what I'm talking about. We're going to add some photos and video footage and stuff to the podcast video so you guys can see. My entry room also doubles as my podcast room. Again, I feel like an entry room would never get used. It would just be this cute little like sitting area that like no one would ever actually use. I really don't use it besides using it for the podcast. So I knew this is why I wanted to record the podcast. So it's kind of like the studio room too. But I feel like I've just made really good use out of the room. We have some great pieces. Sierra Belonga designed this. I love the wallpaper in here. It's actually a Love Shack Fancy overstock thing. I wouldn't be able to afford Love Shack Fancy wallpaper. Thank God they did the overstock collab. Way cheaper. Love it. Dried hydrangeas, the whole thing. I just think I did a good job in this room of making it functional. So it's actually getting used because it's an entire room that I feel like I would never use if it weren't for the podcast. My dining room, I use my dining room all the time, whether it's hosting dinner parties or honestly working from the table. I work from my dining room all the time, and oftentimes I have people over while we're working together. I do really work most days alone, but I like using that as a space that I actually like will work at. We added tall dining room chairs, and that really added a lot of personality. This room has been a challenge because it's not wide enough for a hutch, and I really wish I could do a hutch, so it kind of feels a little bit too bland and boring, but I didn't want to make it crazy, and that's why I added that plate wall, which I love. In my garage, I have my sauna, my treadmill, a little bit of a gym, and then I have storage, and then I also have like my garden, like workbench, potting bench area, and that is a whole thing in itself. My hosting closet, which was my dream, shout out to Kris Jenner, has been amazing. I'm able to keep so many things in there that I can pull for different dinner parties, for different hosting things, my aprons, cooking. I have so many TikToks on that if you want more. The cookbook wall is amazing because it doubles as design and also functionality. I have an entire gift wrapping station on the back door that I use all the time. Before, I feel like a real adult that I have like a gift wrapping station. Like anytime I have a gift or I'm giving someone something, I have it wrapped. Like I feel so put together, and it's from that. My kitchen, I have added just like fun, cute stuff that I see gifts people have given me, like cute little espresso mug stuff that was like a sentimental gift. I have my recipe journal out that I love. I have all my conversation cards out that I love. Cookbooks that I'm constantly grabbing for and that I think just look cute. So again, adding a little bit more of like a design element to functionality. Same thing with the Mackenzie Childs that I keep out. I keep it pretty simple in there. I really love my kitchen though. I'm in there. That's where I spend like most of my time. My living room has been the room that has given me the most challenge. Like, I think it's because my TV is so far up. Oh, I can't believe we haven't talked about this. art TVs. You need Samsung frame art TVs. Listen, this is the future, okay? Because a TV is ugly, right? They're just ugly. But a Samsung, while expensive, I'll give them that. I'll say they are definitely pricier. They look so much better and they double as art. And you know what's even more expensive? Art, okay? So with the Samsung frame TV, it doubles as both. And then getting an actual frame for it changes the game. Like, I'm waiting for the one for my living room. I have the one in my bedroom done. And it's stunning. So like when I'm not watching TV, it's actually art. And I think it's well worth the price. I just love it. I've added books and pillows and stuff in there. I even added, my grandma had like old vintage art and stuff, and I've hung that up in my living room. I just kind of like worked with things that I had just to give it a little like breath of fresh air. I have like JFK. It's kind of weird, actually, now that I think about it, but I have like the newspaper from like when JFK was assassinated in Dallas. It's actually really fucking weird now that I think about it, but it's just like a Dallas staple. A lot of people have that newspaper, so I have that. Oh, I want to talk about my coffee table books in there. I have the best coffee table books. I have 2 Ralph Lauren ones. One is, I think, just like Ralph Lauren's like life vibe. And then the other one is all design elements, and it's actually all of his different properties that he owns. So I love that because it's all interiors, and I love it. I actually like open it and read it. My mom and I go through it. It's a great one. And then I also have a Caroline Bessette Kennedy one that's all of her style. I like to have coffee table books that I actually open. Like, I don't want them to just sit there. And I think coffee table books are a really easy way to add in like personalization and personality, make a house a home easy. My office / guest bedroom, I originally was going to make it just a guest bedroom, and then I was originally going to make it just an office. Obviously, my guest bedroom isn't used every day, but it's used a lot. That was another thing I really wanted for my next house. That was actually like number one of what I wanted in my next home, because I had guests all the time and Dom was here all the time. Like, I needed another bedroom. But obviously there's not someone there all the time. So I decided I needed to just combine the two. Honestly, I never use the desk in there. I really never do. But it is nice to have a place that I can put samples and like paperwork and things that I need, because I use like the closets in there as like my office closets. And then one of them as a linen closet. So it's stuffed with like pillows, blankets, sheets, all the stuff that I've collected over the years. And then I have a day bed that's a trundle, so it actually sleeps 2. And I really love that, but I think putting those 2 together was a really good thing. My guest bathroom, adding the wallpaper, game changer, best thing I ever did, and that's all I'm doing design for that room. That's literally it. My closet room. This is extreme. I'll be the first to admit it. In my townhouse, I made the second bedroom a closet, and I did that with IKEA, and I loved it. There were things that I wanted to change and things that I would have gone back and done differently. So I was really lucky, because by the time I moved here, I'd already done a custom closet. This is so excessive, I know. But this time, because this house had just been renovated when I bought it, and it was so beautiful, I wanted the closet to match like the woods and stuff, and the Container Store had the perfect match. It was really expensive. I will not lie to you guys, but I'm so glad I did it. I've never once regretted it, and it's really like a room that I go into and it really inspires me. So I love that. I worked at the Container Store and all of that stuff. Amazing. Love. My master bedroom, wallpaper, loved. And then my furniture, article. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't mention article. I love article for furniture. That's all my bedroom furniture besides my bed is article. And I loved a Samsung frame TV with a frame. Again, personalized, easy. I have books everywhere in that bedroom. They're all like Texas, Martha Stewart, magazines people have given me that like made them think of me, like things like that. Very personalized. I love. Okay. Backyard rundown. So I have my patio area that I'm actually doing a whole landscaping thing. That's my next house project, so stay tuned. And that's just where I host dinner parties and I'll work out there when the weather's nice and whatever. My actual backyard, I completely redid. I added turf, which I'm really happy with. I really didn't want to do turf because I love the look of like real grass. But listen, like I have multiple gardens. Like I can't be bothered by the grass at this point. And it was looking ugly. And I spent so much time making my yard cool and the place that I wanted to spend time in. And my grass just made it all look ugly. So that was a no. That was a no-go. I did turf with Magnolia in Texas. If you guys need a turf rec, I highly, highly recommend them. They're tagged on all my like turf content on TikTok and Instagram, but I loved working with them. I loved using them. I have a fire pit area for the fall and winter. It's so fun. Like when I would have people over and we would just like sit out by the fire with hot cocoa. We'd play the nightcap cards and just like hang out. It's a really fun thing, and I love fall and winter, and it was just perfect. I couldn't do another summer in Texas without a pool. I get seasonal depression, but in the summer, so great thing to look forward to. As if this year hasn't sucked enough. But anyways, I couldn't afford like a real pool. Like, it's too expensive. Also, I didn't have the patience. Even if that money wasn't an issue, I didn't have the patience for that. There's stock tank pools, okay? So I got mine from Stock Tank Love. I paid for it. We've never worked together or anything like that, I wish. And then I got the pool. I had a deck built around it. I got furniture from Article. I added some plants, added an umbrella, and it has been probably the best money I've put into this house because I used it every day. And I only even built that like September of last year. So I can only imagine how much use I'm going to get out of it this year. Highly, highly, highly recommend. That stock tank pool was such an amazing move. And then I obviously have my garden, my cut flower garden, my vegetable garden. That's a whole other episode. I think that's like pretty much it on the rundown of everything that I've done in my house. Things that I wish I would have done differently. Would have been, honestly, growing up, like years before this, I wish I would have done furniture rentals, because this house I invested in because I knew I was going to be in it for a very long time. With my rentals, I wish I would have rented some of the furniture if I was going to move around a lot, because then it's just an added expense and then you feel more tied down when you're moving. To get movers, to do the whole thing, it's just a hassle and not amazing. And then also on the pieces that I really, really, really want, and I find a dupe that I don't like as much, that's cheaper and it's not as well made, I end up spending more money. And again, I like a dupe on, this is not contradicting what I was saying about Marketplace. Like, let's say it's a dupe in the sense of like, oh, well, it kind of gives the same vibe, but it's ugly, but I'm going to get it because I want this thing that's a lot more money. For example, like my entry table from Ballard Designs was more expensive than I wanted to spend on it, but I couldn't find anything like it on Marketplace. I couldn't find any good dupe that I felt good about. And I know myself, I will buy the dupe and then I will end up just eventually buying the real thing because I ended up hating the dupe and I wanted the real thing. So I lost money in the long run. So on things that I can't find the dupe for, that like I really should just spend money on, I would say like honestly a couch I would do. Like for example, I bought 4 couches in my townhouse because I couldn't find the one that I wanted and I kept just getting cheaper options and I ended up not liking them and hating them. And then long term, I should have just bought what I wanted originally because it would have been cheaper than buying all of the dupes that were like not ones that I loved. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place for a dupe. I feel like a lot of the time it's like Facebook Marketplace or just shopping and thrifting and getting things that have more character to them. But yeah, there's a time and a place. I've been recording for an hour. I could talk about home stuff forever, but I hope this gave you guys some inspo. Please send me photos if you guys are using any of the tips from this episode. I want to see them. Of course, you guys can check out my home brand friend of mine. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a nice rating and review on the podcast. I love y'all so much, and I'll talk to you soon.